So up to this point in your heredity unit, you've learned about all sorts of cool, fancy genetics terms to make you feel really smart around your friends. And now we're going to introduce you to a certain word called a karyotype, probably one of the longest genetics terms that you'll be introduced to in this unit. So all a karyotype is a fancy way of saying, let's organize all the chromosomes that you can find in one cell in order of size and structure. So by visualizing the chromosomes in a karyotype, scientists can sample the amniotic fluid even before you're born and diagnose you with a number of diseases by taking a look at chromosome abnormalities like Down syndrome, which is also known as trisomy 21. So a karyotype, again, is a picture of all the chromosomes that you can find in one cell, all 46 of them. And if you arrange them in the order of biggest to smallest, by size and shape, you end up getting not 46 different shapes and sizes, but 23 different sizes. So it turns out for every single size, there's two chromosomes. There's one that comes from mom, and the other one that comes from dad. So for every pair of chromosomes, you get one from mom and one from dad. So for each set of chromosomes, we call this homologous pairs. What makes them homologous is that they are the same size, they have similar structures, and they carry similar genes. But if you continue and look towards the end, this only applies to the first 22 pairs of chromosomes, which means the 23rd pair of chromosomes is pretty special. The 23rd pair of chromosomes determines the sex of the individual. And so if you look at the last pair here, XX, that codes for a female, while the last pair here, if it's an XY, that codes for a male. Not only is this important in determining the sex of the individual, but also, as you learned in your previous heredity units, that the X and Y chromosomes carry different genes. So when you're calculating the probability of passing on a sex-linked characteristic, then you have to pay attention to whether it's a guy passing on a X or a Y, or a girl passing on one of her X's. So let's test your skills to see if you've got what it takes to be a prenatal doctor. If you take the amniotic fluid through a process called amniocentesis and analyze all the chromosomes, arrange them in order from largest to smallest, then you should be able to verify whether this is a boy or a girl by analyzing the last pair of chromosomes. So take a second to pause the video and determine whether this is a boy or a girl, and write down your explanation on how you determined the sex of this kid. Did you get it? Let's see how you did. If you analyze the 23rd pair of chromosomes, you'll recognize that they're not the same. They're not homologous. There's an X and there's a Y, which means that this is a boy. So while a picture of all the chromosomes arranged from longest to shortest is called a karyotype, the act of actually performing this procedure is called karyotyping. So again, let's take all the chromosomes out from the egg and determine whether this is a guy or girl. By arranging all the chromosomes in order from longest to shortest, can you determine what this one is? You guessed it, this one's a girl. This individual has two X chromosomes, so really there's 23 homologous chromosomes, all with the same size, shape, and genes. However, every now and then, an individual inherits a third chromosome in one of the pairs. In this case, it's on the 21st chromosome. So trisomy 21, otherwise known as Down syndrome, is a genetic abnormality in which an individual has an extra 21st chromosome. This happens to be the most common chromosomal abnormality in humans, occurring at the rate of 1 in every 691 babies in the USA. Typical traits associated with Down syndrome include flat nose, smaller chin, squinted eyes, flat broad face, short neck, spaces between their large toe and the rest of their feet, in addition to an average IQ of about 50, which is approximately half that of the IQ of a typical adult that does not have Down syndrome.